Hey there! Welcome back to An Introvert's Paradise. I'm Kendrick Kaiju. So is multiplayer coming to inZoi at some point? Well, it sounds like it's definitely within the realm of possibility. So K-Jun took to Discord to talk about the feedback that he received from last week. If you watch last week's video, then you'll recall there's a new initiative from K-Jun and his team over at Crafton, the Brainstorm with K-Jun initiative. And the results of the feedback say that the 5th most requested feature for inZoi moving forward is online multiplayer. According to K-Jun, he said it received a lot of support, both in terms of number of comments and likes, but also many dislikes. And I gotta say, I'm not too surprised by that because I feel like the traditional life sim player is a lot like me. Introverted, not really interested in playing with other people. Single player for life. But then when I thought about it some more, I realized this game sold over 1 million copies. So there's definitely the new age gamers that was drawn in by the look of inZoi and are expecting the more modern approach, because it seems like more and more so gaming is becoming more of a social thing. MMOs and multiplayer games are all the rage now, so I'm not surprised that there's a large contingent of the inZoi audience that wants multiplayer. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of these guys where, even if it doesn't affect me, I'm against it anyway. It's definitely not my way or the highway. As far as I'm concerned, as long as it doesn't affect me, go nuts. And it seems like K-Jun is really interested in the idea of creating a multiplayer mode. Because he said, we actually believe that if multiplayer is implemented the right way, it could offer a distinct experience that complements the current single player mode, rather than replacing it. So there we have it, straight from the horse's mouth. They're not interested in replacing the single player mode. So I'm on board with multiplayer. I'll never partake, but I'm also not here to rain on anybody's parade. But that's kind of why I wanted to make this video today. I wanted to talk about, and I guess think out loud, what implementing it the right way would look like. What does that mean? What do you think? I'm not sure why, but the first thought that popped into my head when I read multiplayer the first time was MMO. And along that train of thought, I think it's actually a cool idea if everybody that you met, everybody that you ran into, everybody in-game in an inZoi MMO were actually a real person. It was another player. I think that would be pretty cool. At your job, your neighbor, and have players run the stores too. And I guess there could be some kind of economy with it. That could be dangerous though. What do you mean 5,000 meows for a cup of ramen? I'm going back to the single player, never mind this. But I feel like that would just be the tip of the iceberg. There'd be a lot of shenanigans. I feel like I think you would draw a level of the GTA Online crowd. I think there'd be a lot of Zois getting hit by cars. And if they ever added violence into the game, people would be getting punched left, right, and center walking down the street. The only way to combat something like that is if they really hone in on the police system. Or if you break the law, you go to jail for the day. And if you're a repeat offender, well, let's start multiplying that sentence. As long as they can rein in the chaos, make it so that you can't just go on there and be a troublemaker. If they can make this like an earnest Second Life type of situation, I think that would be really cool, and I think it could be successful. I think a lot of people would be interested in something like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of them. When I leave my house, when I'm at work, when I'm walking down the street, taking the bus, gonna get groceries, all that stuff, after a long day of having to deal with people, I have absolutely no interest in coming home, logging on, only to deal with more people. But I could totally see a well-executed, legitimate Second Life type of game. I could see the appeal for a lot of people. But I don't see that happening. I don't see that level of an MMO. Because I feel like to implement an MMO, you're basically making an entirely different game. It's going to require a lot of resources, a major investment, and judging by the community, at least on Discord, how people seem to be split on this, I don't think it'd be worth the investment. I think a more realistic take on multiplayer would be if you can just invite your friends into your game. It'd be cool if you could build together, like build houses, build stores, live in the same household, or not, maybe just be a neighbor, live in the same world, but not in the same house. That would be cool. You could work at the same job. That would certainly make it more interesting. Especially when they introduce new jobs, maybe you make things that you can work together, like team up to get the task done. Now, I don't know anyone who plays Life Sims, so again, this mode would be useless to me. But I could see that being very cool, and I think that's the more realistic approach. Because I know The Sims 4 at one point had I'm sure it's still there, the online mod where you can invite people into your game. I think that's a realistic approach, that's a realistic expectation even. If they're gonna do multiplayer, it's gotta be something like that. Because at the end of the day, resources are finite, so if they end up getting too ambitious with the online multiplayer, and they make something completely different than the single player mode, then you run the risk of having two half-baked, undercooked modes. I think honestly their best bet right now is focus on the single player. We've got so many features that are still missing. Let's just focus on making the absolute best life sim single player game that's ever existed, and we have the potential for that. I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia, but I think Sims 2 is the best Sims game ever made. But I also loved the open world of Sims 3. inZoi has the potential to be the best of those two worlds. We just gotta really nail down the gameplay and make some improvements on the driving. Because not surprisingly, the number one thing that people wanted the most, myself included, is more things to do in the city. So now the team is adjusting, they're reallocating their resources to work on more enterable locations. Hell yeah, that's what I want so badly. So let's focus on stuff like that. One step at a time. Let's get all the basics down, let's get a great game together. And once you have that, then put resources into figuring out how to do multiplayer. And again, I think multiplayer just needs to be the single player game, but you can bring people into it. It definitely shouldn't be two different things. Alright, thank you for your time. Let's call it a day for now. I'm Kendra Kaiju, and you've been watching An Introvert's Paradise, talking about what multiplayer could and perhaps should look like in inZoi's future. I'll talk to you soon. You take care of yourself, but until next time, just make it through another day.